Yo, my name is Wackaflcka, and today I will show you guys the garage sale Twitch build, I call it. Simply because it just revolves around buying cheap items and just playing around your money and like just trying to save as much as you can. And this build generally doesn't rely on snowballing as much as other builds would have to do, simply because of how much money you save by buying the items that you do and going the runes that I go. And as you can see, I'm going PTA, Triumph, Alacrity, Cryptogra, you can change that. You can change PTA as well. And then I go biscuits and boots. Okay, so just first the runes here. PTA, you can obviously change that for lethal tempo if you want to, but I would say in solo queue that PTA is just superior in most cases if you are playing by yourself. Especially with this build, since it's a bit unoptimized in terms of damage, but it does get the job done in most cases. And then Triumph. And I want to make something clear here. I used to be a person that said, go presence of mind. And I will say to go presence of mind unless you are going this build. And the reason why I can take Triumph here is because you get cookies. And that helps you to not rely on the mana as much as you do without. So if you take cookies, you can actually get away with taking Triumph. And you could go overheal, but from my experience so far from playing with this build, I do think that Triumph is superior, simply because overheal just seems so bad. And Triumph also does give you additional gold for takedowns or kills. And that gold usually leads up to like something around 500 gold at the end of the game, depending on how it goes. And then as for Alacrity, you can obviously go Bloodline, but it's up to you. Especially with this build, I think it's more viable to go Bloodline as opposed to other builds, because usually you would go Blade the Rune King, which has less attack speed than Kraken. So that makes Bloodline more viable, while also feeling kind of the same as Blade the Rune King Rush would do. And then the boots. So now we're going to get to explaining the build here. Blade the Rune King cost 3.3k gold. I would say it's one of the better items on Twitch, as opposed to Kraken Slayer. I do think Kraken Slayer is a bit unoptimized, but it is cheaper, and it has crit, which is what makes it viable in this build, I think. So there's a 300 gold difference here. So by buying this item first, you are then technically saving 300 gold, right? You're paying attention so far? We've saved 300 gold. And because we have boots, we are saving another 300 gold. So that's 600 gold saved so far in getting your first item and boots. And then for Hurricane, as your second item, is what you'll be doing here. And ideally, you want to just skip tier 2 boots and just get Kraken and Hurricane. Because then without getting your tier 2 boots, you are then saving an additional 800 gold. So then you're saving 600 gold, because you don't have to buy the Blade of the Rune King, which is 300 gold more expensive, and you're getting free boots, which is also 300 gold more expensive. So you're saving 600 gold. And then, since you don't buy the tier 2 boots, you're saving 800 gold. So you're then saving 1400 gold, which you then get to spend on buying Hurricane. So technically Hurricane only costs then 1400 gold. And at this point is when this build shines, because this one is basically just a very optimized, cheap way of reaching 2 item spike on Twitch without relying too much on Snowball, because as I said, you're saving 1400 gold here and getting these 2 items as opposed to like any other build. And that is what this entire build just relies around. It's just this reaching this 2 item power spike without having to snowball, because from my experience lately on Twitch, it's very hard to get early leads, or it's a lot more difficult than it used to be. Durability, champions, etc. just makes it a lot harder. So this one just emphasizes on just playing safe and just farming, and you should reach these items and have a 2 item power spike faster than most any other champion in the game. So again, presence of mind, Triumph, I wouldn't take overheal. I think it's bad. And you don't need presence of mind because of cookies. Alacrity or Bloodline, it's up to you. But if you like to attack fast, then like Alacrity is obviously very good. And Bloodline takes a bit to scale. It relies on AD to heal for a decent amount. And Coup de Grace can be changed for cut down if you're playing against tanks. And these 2 runes should not be changed. And then your rune stats are obviously attack speed and attack damage. You can go HP if you want, but I just generally play it safe and just take armor. And I would recommend PTA, but again, you can go lethal tempo. But yeah, that is basically what this build revolves around. Just reaching a 2-item power spike before almost anyone else in the game and having it be a very decent one. Kraken Slayer and Hurricane is obviously going to deal a decent amount of damage in a team fight. So when you reach this item spike here, you should be set up to be able to contest and contribute to dragon fights a lot better, as opposed to if you were to have just play the Rune King in boots as an example. Right. So that is the entire day here. You just get these 2 items, and since you have PTA, you get that extra damage. It will help you in lane as well, which I think is very good, especially now if you are playing solo. And yeah, that is basically it. This is a garage sale Twitch build, and you can obviously follow this up with something like IE if you want. Or alternatively, you can then first go into your LDR and then follow it up with IE. And then a BT, depending. And you have lots of options there. But most of the time you would either then go into a LDR or just an Infinity Edge. This is also a very nice spike. But these are your options, BT, IE. You can go PD. You can also go Blade the Rune King later at the game. It's just about saving most money and just getting like a nice power spike early game without relying on snowballing up until then. And then these 2 items should help you snowball after that point. So this build is only about reaching 2-item power spike very fast without relying on other things and just farming and just playing safe. Right. And all other items are obviously optional as well. You can go Collector, goes nice with PTA as well. For dealing additional damage. I would not recommend GA. I think PD is a good item. It just depends where you want to do it. Most of the time, Play the Rune King is a good option. It's up to you. But IE is what I would follow this up with here, especially if you're playing PTA. Can go in Gwynso, but it's just up to you. Again, I'm not making any recommendations other than for this build for just go to Kraken and Hurricane and just ignoring everything else and just reaching that 2-item power spike, and then you can play your own game from there. That is it. This has been my new build for Season 13 Split 2. The garage sale Twitch build. Hope you guys continue to have a good morning, you know, Twitch everyone fit, shit like that. And yeah, take care. Peace.